Hey guys, Kevin here again, and today, I'm showing you, or we are showing you the deck profile of the LCS winner, Ben. He is with me today.
Yep. Hi.
And how are you feeling?
I guess still a little bit overwhelmed. I totally didn't expect to win this event. So I felt quite confident going into it, but this for sure was a surprise. So I'm quite happy about that for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Why have you chosen the Drangling deck, or why did you choose the Drangling deck to go to this event?
So, considering that this event was new ban list and the ban list was announced on Thursday, there was limited time for testing. So, obviously, decks that weren't touched on the ban list and that were good last format were the go-tos for many players. So that included Dragonlink, Zoo Eldritch, Dogma Invoked, kind of, and then I guess to some extent Dino, because like Dino especially came back as a Dragonlink counter because people were experienced with the deck. Many people have played that deck for a long time. They do not have like any specific new combos and parts. So everybody knew how to play the deck, how to build the deck, and especially with Dragonlink, you have a very popular deck that you can build against with Dino very well. So my choice was Dragonlink just because it's one of my favorite decks. I think that for a combo deck, this is one of the more complex and creative decks you can play, because especially playing through boards and playing this deck in a grind game, I think you can very much express your ability with the deck, because there's many lines that you can go, and there's many creative routes you can take to play through disruptions. Since the deck has so many flexible extenders, and you can use guard dragons in very creative ways. And going first, the deck is actually not an FTK deck, so it's not like you're playing a combo deck and you're just outright winning turn 0 if your opponent doesn't open a hand trap. So I think that kind of interaction was very nice, and yeah, I also think that the list I made for the event was a very good call, so that inspired me as well to play this deck while also testing others, of course.
Yeah, I think it went pretty well. So
Yep.
So then let's get started with the deck profile. If you want to say something, or
yeah, sure. So I guess I'll just start off with the main deck. The more common ratios for Dragonlink, I obviously played were the Rocket package. So I played 3 Tracer with the 3 Quick Launch. Your main ways to get to Tracer. Tracer obviously needed to get to Savage. Your main disruption you want to set up. Your, so to speak, boss monster. I played 1 Recharger as the level 4 non-tuner rocket, and 1 Abstrauter Dragon to search the Rocket Tracer. I played 2 Rocket Synchron, which isn't 100% standard. Most lists right now do that, just because you always want to have a target for Crystron, Hulk, Fibrax, and also having a Tracer target turn 3 to just have a Dragon extender, even though it locks you into Dark, is very good for OTKing your opponent. Then I played the Dragonmaid package, which included 2 Chamber Dragonmaid and 3 Dragonmaid Tiding. The Chamber Dragonmaid is a rather new thing. It was around since like I think the last LCS that people played this. It allows you to set up an extra disruption that is a back row card, so it doesn't lose to blowout cards like Dark Ruler. And Dragonmaid Tiding is especially strong because if you do not use the on-field effect in a turn, you can use the graveyard effect that reborns or specials a Dragonmaid monster from your hand or grave. And so basically you can special summon Chamber Dragonmaid, search a new trap, and then loop this disruption over and over, which is the reasoning why I played 3 traps when most people were only playing 1 or 2, because I viewed this deck as not a hard combo deck, but a deck that outgrinds your opponent's resources. So the main goal here is the main goal to my approach of deck building is to amass resources turn 1, set up a board that my opponent struggles to beat, but that is not impossible to beat, so he can like use all his resources playing through my board and then set up kind of weak disruption for himself. So then turn 3 I can play with a full hand, full set of resources and OTK my opponent, because Dragon Link, while it can set up boards turn 1, is actually way better at link climbing and killing your opponent with Boral Sword. Because many of the Dragon Link cards amass a lot of link material, but it's very hard to use those cards for the extra deck, because you're mostly locked into Dark Monsters by Tracer. You can only summon stuff like Boral Savage Dragon or IP Masquerena, Verte Anaconda, and I didn't want to run the Dragoon package. So that's why I played 3 traps to give myself kind of a resource loop. So even if I couldn't kill turn 3, I would have the same setup again, set up a Hieratic Seal, set up a trap, and then maybe still keep the Savage, or like recycle the Savage with the Safer, and then build a new one.
Maybe one question to this.
Yep, sure.
Why haven't you played the spell from the Dragon Maid, so the one that special summons? Because I saw like decklists who played 3 of those.
Yep. So Dragon Maid Hospitality is a it's basically a reborn for Dragon Maids. It can also special summon from hand, but that barely ever comes up. Either way, you can use it to make Chamber Dragon Maid a 1-card starter. Some lists run like one of those if you really have no other way to go into Romulus. But realistically speaking, looking at the deck, you will always have like some kind of extender, like even if it's just a rocket card in hand that you can special summon off of Boot Sector launch. There's 99.9% of hands are gonna have a way to go into Romulus or Hieratic Seal, and at that point, I'm happy if I get to trap plus Hieratic Seal. I don't need much more. If I like bricked or have hand traps in my hand, that's fine for me. I don't need to like search Hospitality to then commit to more link plays, more combo plays. If I just can search the trap instead and have a disruption that doesn't lose to a hand trap like Pure. And the trap itself is also is a disruption with any drag monster. You don't need the Chamber Dragon Maid for it. It can bounce any drag monster on your side of the field. Which Hospitality reborns only Dragon Maid monsters, so it's kind of a brick in your deck. So going forward, I ran the mostly standard like one-offs for the monsters. I ran Brotor and Levianeer. Brotor, obviously insane card. Searches you a lot. Searches basically your whole deck. Levianeer is your main win con against control decks. Loops the card out of your opponent's hand turn 1, which is really good for resource management, since you're already minusing your opponent at that point. Then you're adding it back for next turn with Safered to pop 2 cards, again creating a +1 at least. Even if they like pop the Levy in return or whatever. Then the one of Noctivision. So Noctivision is kind of a generic extender, so it's really weird to see it at 1. But part of the reason for this is that you can actually get rid of the Phantasmaze and the Absorouter in your hand turn 1 if you open them by discarding them with Safered. So you want to have a level 7 target that actually extends your plays, no matter what your hand is. So Absorouter is dependent on having a rocket on field, so I decided to run 1 Noctivision. Second effect of Noctivision can theoretically come up in this deck, since you're setting a card with Dragon Maid Tidying. And Noctivision can banish itself from grave to protect a set card from a targeting effect. But it never did for me. It only like ever happens if they Pancratops blindly or seal. Pancratops blindly or use Cosmic Cyclone or whatever. Then I ran the 2 baby dragons along with Chaos Space, pretty standard. Insane extenders, Chaos Space, incredibly cracked card. I ran 3 Safered. So for 1-card starters, there's options like Black Metal Dragon, but I decided to run Sacred instead because Sacred is also a resource card for your Yugioh, and I expected a lot of Eldritch decks to be played alongside the other mid-range or combo decks. So this deck actually struggles a lot against Eldritch, so I thought that having Sacred to loop the Levineer turn for turn is actually your only way to get a grind game, and to have a way to fight back against these decks past turn 1 and 2. So I think 3 Sacred was a good call. I have 5 normal summons overall in the deck, 5 hard normal summons, which is alright for going first deck. I ran 1 Red Ice Darkness Metal Dragon without the small black Metal Dragon, which is, I guess, a little bit interesting. I decided to run it just as a resource because you can get it back from grave with the Recharger at all times. So once it's in play, you will always be able to summon it back any turn by just using the effect of Striker Dragon. So any level 4 Dragon monster basically reborns your Darkness Metal Dragon. Darkness Metal then gets to reborn another card, let's say Brotor. Brotor then again searches another card. So you're amassing a lot of resources just from your grave. So basically you don't need to waste cards in hand. Your turn 3 is already very set up. Then for spells, I decided to run the 3 power spells in the deck: Chaos Base, Quick Launch, and World Legacy Guard Dragon. I think everybody knows by now that they're incredibly powerful. Quick Launch and World Legacy Guard Dragon are insane extenders. Then the 2 field spells, Boot Sacred Launch and Dragon Ravine, have to run them. They help your combo quite a lot. Ravine can help you search Tracer, or set up a Levy, or even like send a trap to reborn Dragon Mate, or send the Dragon Mate to then reborn it later. It's very versatile. I ran 3 traps, which actually came up once in the finals against Dinosaur. And then for tech spots, I ran 3 Phantasma, 3 Nibiru, and 3 Triple Tactics Talons. So I guess this is quite interesting because the hand trap lineup I think you should run this format is very different from the one that you were supposed to run last format. Phantasma is completely new in the meta. Phantasma hasn't been around for quite some while. I think Phantasma is a really good card right now, especially because of the Dragon Mirror Image. Because I think that the combo Mirror Image is the one that you should respect the most, since Dragon Link was a top deck at the end of the last format, so it was obvious people were going to carry over their Dragon Link decks to this format. And Phantasma is really strong, but Phantasma also has applications against other decks. So Phantasma basically is never dead. I resolved against Dino multiple times. The only deck it's really dead against is basically Eldritch. So then I ran 3 Nibiru mainly for the mirror match. I think it's important to blow out your opponent, and I think Nibiru is the only hand trap that trades favorably with the mirror match with Dragonlink, because Dragonlink can eat Ash, can eat Gamma, can eat Ogre, and still end on their very same end board. So if they just have one more extender in hand, they're still ending on Savage Seal and Trap. There's no around that, even if you drop a soft hand trap. So you want hand traps that take their resources, and Nibiru also gives you a body, so it's incredibly strong against Erratic Seal. So I think it's the only hand trap that's worth maining against them. Then Triple Tactics Talons is interesting. So while I think that Dragon Link can eat hand traps very well, I don't think it can eat board breakers very well. Their boards are usually not as strong. As I said, you're aiming to stall your opponent out one turn to then kill them turn 3, not to completely blow them out immediately. So Triple Tactics Talon can take advantage of that, because a standard Dragon Link board is probably forced to use their bounce, use their negation at some point, and then Triple Tactics Talent can help you play through the board. And it has applications against many other decks, so it's like okay in the mirror match. It doesn't outright win you the mirror, but it's definitely applicable. But especially against Dino, which many people were running 2 at the event. In 12 rounds, I faced 6 Dino players. Triple Tactics Talent was just insane. basically, Dinosaur, the way it works, even though it's a going second deck, it never kills you. So they just break your board, leave you on as few resources as possible, and then end on Dolka Tyranno. And people like decks used to not be able to beat that anymore after they used all their resources turn 1. But Dragon Link has such a strong setup turn 1 that, especially my list, if you play Yugioh as well, you have so much backup that, let's say you draw into a Talons turn 1 and you just keep it for turn 3. They use 1 Dolka negate, you Talons them, take away Tyranno, run over everything, and you take away their whole board, or you even kill them, you take the Dolka, you have a Dragon monster that's also a negate. And yeah, Dino just gets completely screwed by Talons. Invoked is also a good deck for Talons. Cards like Mechaba, cards like Tyranno, generally speaking, these semi-boss monsters that interact with your opponent run into triple tactics Talons very fast. But in opposing to the other board breaker cards, what I like about triple tactics Talons is it's very good turn 1. If you open it going first, it's not a dead card, it's not a free discard or whatever. You can keep it, it's actually very strong. If you get hand tripped, many people were still running stuff like Ash in the main deck. And if I get Ash and Dragon Link, I'm gonna say thank you, look at your hand, take Unibur or take your engine card, have perfect knowledge, end on Seal Savage Trap, and you're never playing through that to the point where I'm losing the game. I know exactly what to bounce, I know exactly what to negate. And Talons just gives me all that info. Yeah, so that's my reasoning for my next spots. Side deck. So I think for side deck it's easiest to start off with the back row removals. Pancratops, Feather Duster, and Reboot were my one-offs. Feather Duster, Reboot, obviously insane against back row, must in a combo deck, must play. Pancratops is very strong right now. Used to be very weird last meta because VFD was a thing and Drytron just FTK'd. But in a meta where you're actually able to interact with your opponent's board, Pancratops shines a lot. So it's very good against the Dragon Link board, it's very good against back row boards, it's very good against Dino, it's very good against Invoke. Basically across the board, Pancratops is a very solid card. That's why it went to 1 previously in the first place. Then for combo board breakers, well, I guess there's 3 Cosmic Cyclones for back row removal. I decided to run Cosmic Cyclone because I needed back row removal that was also able to be sided in going first. Since I have 9 cards in the main deck that cannot be sided going first, that cannot be played against back row decks, Nibiru Phantasme and Triple Tactics Talent. So I wanted a back row removal that can also side going first, draw into with Yugioh, and Cosmic Cyclone over Twin Twister because I thought that Shaddoll decks with Shaddoll Schism were going to be popular, and Eldritch decks like Zodiac Eldritch often don't really set a lot of cards. So if they only set 1 Eldritch Trap, it's better to open Cosmic Cyclone and remove that Eldritch Trap from play than opening Twin Twister and being able to like Twin Twister a Sanguine and a Hakaru that probably just gonna end up floating and the Sanguine's gonna be chained, so it's very weird. Then for board breakers for combo, I played Triple Dark Ruler. Trades very favorably with any combo deck and dinosaurs as well. Also very good against Invoked. Can come up against Prankets. Just overall very solid because you're actually able to play the game if you Dark Ruler them. Now that VFD is banned. Super Poly. Super Poly was kind of my tech card for this weekend. I think it showed on stream that it was very worth running, and I ran 2 targets for it. One was Borlord Furious rank for the mirror match. The way Super Poly works in the mirror match, obviously you can draw it going first in your opening hand or from Yugioh, Chaos Base, or Noctivision, and then just interrupt your opponent's combo with just your hard draw Super Poly. Even if they break your board, hand trip you to death or whatever, you're still gonna have that Super Poly, and they're most likely not gonna be able to play through it because Borlord Furious Dragon, the card didn't see much play before. but it's basically another interruption. It can pop one monster on your side of the field and one card on your opponent's side of the field. So after you super poly them, you have one more pop just from that super poly. So it's very good value. And then the Borrowed Furious Dragon can also be banished from the grave to resummon a Dark Link monster from your grave. Which can also come up against Invoke decks, by the way. If they Maximus you can send this to grave and use it as a reborn later. The other super poly target, well, I guess super poly also is a going second card for the mirror. I should mention. If they put up, like, most Dragon Link decks run Chaos Ruler and Hot Red Archfiend Abyss over my 2 super poly targets. So if they put up like a double negate, which I think, by the way, isn't really necessary. It doesn't really give you that much of an edge to set up an extra negate turn 1 and use up your hand resources. If they set up double negate, use super poly both negates, Furious Dragon, attack seal. They use Heretic Seal, you pop the back row. Basically outs their whole board immediately. Same if they open one negate and you open Phantasme, then you can just use away the Phantasme and their negate. Or if you don't have any of that, you need to commit a monster to the board, normal summon a monster, then fuse your monster and the Savage, force the seal, pop the back row. But yeah, Super Poly basically breaks the whole board by itself on the mirror. Then Predapump Dragastapalia was mainly for Invoke Shaddoll. You need a way to out Winda in this deck. Winda's a problem. There's a reason why people are playing Shaddoll in Dragon Link formats. So I thought it'd be good to have a Super Poly target for that. And so the question was basically serving Venom or Dragastapalia. But I decided to run Dragastapalia because in the invoked matchup it can also fuse away the Mechaba. So you can fuse Mechaba and Winda. And then against Dragoon decks you can also fuse away the Dragoon with either one of your monsters or a Virtua Anaconda if they play it. So Super Poly definitely came up big time for me this tournament. Also against Prankets you can fuse away the Battle Butler with one of your dark monsters. Can come up. Prankets not a bad deck right now. I play against one Prankets and I think he also topped. So shoutouts to him, definitely. My last side card was Ash Blossom. Probably as generic as it gets, but I cited it very specifically because I was missing 3 spots to side in against back row decks, but also I was missing 3 spots against Dino. So the consideration first was playing Lancia for Dino because it's the better card, and you can also side against Invoke. But Lancia is very bad against back row decks. If you get like Altergeist or even against Eldritch, Lancia is not that good because overall they're still going to be able to banish the Eldritch Trap at some point, and you're just going neg 1 for no reason. So I decided to run Ash Blossom in the side deck because in those matchups it can be very impactful, but I didn't want to run it in the main deck just because it sucks with Dragon Link right now. Extra deck, I guess, except for the Super Poly targets, it's rather standard. 3 Striker Dragon, 1 of each Guard Dragon, Romulus, and Fiber. I think those are mandatory, definitely. Heretic Seal, I played 2 of. People have been bumping this card up to 2 or 3, just because it gives you a grind game. It gives you resources. You can loop it, like you can basically make it every turn. It's free interruption, especially in a meta where Zodiac, for example, is played sometimes. Bounce is very strong. Then there's Quad Borrow Dragon. Quad Borrow Dragon is probably lesser known for the people that do not play Dragon Link, but basically what it does is it lets you pop a face-up monster on the field, and if it's a Link monster, you reborn different rocket monsters from your grave up to the Link rating of that monster. Mostly it's used to just pop itself and reborn Tracer and Recharger, so you can like get to Savage more conveniently. But I also made like a nice play in I don't know what round it was. Was it? I think it was like some Swiss round against Dino. I popped my opponent's access code with Quad Borrow Dragon and then got to resummon 3 rocket monsters from my grave. So basically I popped an opponent's monster and soul charged my grave, which was really insane. Then I played Sir Yugioh. Sir Yugioh is not standard. People usually run Appaloosa over this. I think Sir Yugioh is stronger in this version though, since I'm not playing the extra negates. I want to play for resources turn 1. And especially since I'm running so many blowout cards with Dark Ruler, Talons, and Super Poly, I want to draw into them. A lot of my line of play is backed up by hand traps and cards for turn 3, so Sir Yugioh is actually a really good card for this. It's never gonna help you going second to like draw into a better hand to play through something, because you're never getting to Sir Yugioh in the first place. But I think going first, it's a really strong card. So the thing with Appaloosa is it's very hard to make. It's hard to like get to a setup where you're not locked into darks. And if you commit all these resources, Appaloosa is still just going to be 2 or 3 negates. So I decided to run Sir Yugioh instead because I think it's stronger. The thing about Dark Ruler, by the way, is I would even side it in going first against Dino. Partly because you can never be sure if they are going to still make you go first. Especially if you like win game 1 going first, and then you never know whether they make you go first. But Dark Ruler even going first is fine against Dino, because they're probably not going to kill you. Dino breaks your board. They do like 6,000 to 7,000 damage roughly, usually. And then you just Dark Ruler them and play. So drawing into Dark Ruler's Talons or whatever is really strong. Bardosaur Dragon, obviously the card to kill your opponent in this deck. Very easy to make with card ranks, since it dodges their dragon restriction. Then Warlord Savage is the boss monster at the negate of the deck. If you run Sir Yugioh, you're sometimes even making it for 4 negates, which is kind of cool, but usually doesn't really come up.
Yeah, I saw that on stream one time.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's my deck profile, I guess.
Thank you very much. It was really informative. I don't know the exact word in English. Informative? Yeah, that's the word. Yep. Yeah, it was. I was very curious about Super Poly and Phantasme. Like I don't know exactly how Phantasme is like good in the Dragon Link like mirror match, because a lot of cards doesn't target in this deck. For example, Seal doesn't target, but I think it's more of a like grind or like more of a plus card, because you need the extra card to just like play through the board, kind of. Or
yeah, I mean, first off, it's a free body. Like it replaces itself in hand, that's for sure. But also, you're forcing Seal without normal summoning. That's really huge.
Yeah, sure.
So you can just go battle phase and force the Seal. But also, if you normal summon something, the trap actually targets. So they can never target a monster with the trap, because you have Phantasma and you can negate the trap.
Yeah.
So I had that one time in top 16 where I played the mirror match, that my opponent had a Phantasme. And I had to target the boot sector launch with my trap, because I wasn't able to target the Phantasme.
Okay.
Wait, was it top 16? I don't know. It was Swiss against Gabriel Nets. I had to target boot sector launch because basically all his monsters were protected by Phantasme, so it's kind of annoying. But the main part is that's a dragon body that helps you combo. You can force Seal immediately, because Seal is really annoying if you just try to combo through it without respecting it. And it pluses you, so more extenders, and if they are forced to bounce it with Heretic Seal, you get it for next turn.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I didn't think about that. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it very much, and yeah, I hope you will win the next LCS too. You will do well in the future. I'm very excited about how the meta will be for this 3 months, I guess.
Yep.
I think Dragon Link is one of the best contenders. I'm really looking forward if Witcher World or Drytron are doing anything, because I saw that Drytron is not really inconsistent, but one hand trap stops the whole deck, kind of. And Virtual Worlds is I mean the board isn't an FTK anymore, so it's you can play through the board, and I think that's the thing with Virtual Worlds. I'm not sure, but we'll see. So yeah, thank you very much, and yeah, I think
Pleasure
we'll
to
see
be
you
here.
one time again.